Great. So we're here today with Ray Civello from Civello Salon and Spa, Canadian hair legend, guru, distributor, brand creator. I mean, what else are you up to these days, Ray?
God, well, I think right now I am still working very deeply with the Chevello Salon Group right now, and that's been a lot of fun to do. Sort of kind of yeah, after so many years of being somewhat removed from that group and now really participating with them, it's really it's grounding for one. It really brings you back to the fundamentals of being in the hair salon. I'm in the hair salons, every other week I'm in all the salons, and that's been eye-opening for sure. And a lot of it's familiar, and there's a lot of new things there. So I'm really enjoying that part of it. And of course, we're involved in the collective beauty brands world with our brands Back of Bottle and Color Space, and really getting these two beautiful brands off the ground and into the world of hairdressing.
And that's great. So what made you start Back of Bottle? What is Back
Oh,
of Bottle all about?
gosh. Well, I think there was, my background with Aveda for, 40 years practically. And so I've made products before. I had the very good fortune to be involved at a very deep level of creating for that brand on a national, international level. So I've always enjoyed the process of making product. And with Back of Bottle, really, it was there was a void. I couldn't find what I was looking for, and it didn't exist. So, because the world doesn't need more products. I mean, there's lots and lots of products, maybe too many, some might say. But you've got to make better products, and you've got to make unique products, I think, to be of service, and be of value, of purpose. Otherwise it's just another Me Too thing. And we really approached it with, is there an opportunity? Isn't there an opportunity? We saw an opportunity with Back of Bottle to make something that was very responsible in a very clean way, because I'd been involved in just doing research and looking at ingredients and actual ingredients and what they actually do and what they don't do, for that matter. And ingredients that have been used for a long time, that are still being used, and those that have been very clearly identified as being harmful in very serious ways to human beings, which was what I was really concerned about, because working in the hair salon and working in the hair salon industry, this is about people. This industry is all about people. And so we start to do deep dive into what are these ingredients that are clean. What are everybody's clean lists, and what are they talking about? And so, through that research, we recognized it was an opportunity to do something not just clean, but make it a very high performance clean. And that was very challenging, because it had never been done before, where you took innovative new ingredients that had never been used in our industry and take an approach that was quite different than the standard off the shelf. Here are the four basic ingredients. Here's how you make a shampoo. Here's how you make a foam. Here's how you make a styling product. And we said no to all that. We said, no, we don't want to do any of that. That's why it took 4 years with an amazing group of hairstylists, very specialized. But we had very specialized people in different categories of hair types, and we took that approach that said, look, we're going to make this first and foremost. We're going to make it an extremely high performance product, and that's got, because no one's going to buy clean just for the sake of clean. But through the performance, we use that voice of performance to be able to say, hey, it's a high performance product made for hairdressers and for consumers, but it's also really made responsibly. It's made very clean with a lot of thoughtfulness behind it. So we saw a void there. We saw clean green. We didn't see clean green, high performance in a sustainable methodology or an approach. So that was it. That was the opportunity.
Well, there's a lot of boxes that you have to check off to be clean, sustainable. Like there's a full gamut of things that you can do and ingredients that you can include. Definitely technology has changed in terms of manufacturing, and it certainly takes a long time to develop a brand, especially when you're testing and you have something really specific in mind, like you said, with the team of hairdressers and stylists that you're working with that want something, a specific kind of hold or a specific kind of texture. takes a long time to produce
It's a
something.
long time. There's a lot of no's and rejections that take place.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You think you have an amazing, formula and you bring it to the team and you get a lot of, no's for good reason. And that's the learning process. That's the process you go through. And then, you go back with all that input and then I mean, there's a lot of subjectivity in there too, right? What one likes, one doesn't. But we try to make the most consistently high performance product to achieve the goals of what that product should do. And really, I mean, for us, it was really important that our products were really flexible too, that they had a malleability of, that you could layer them together, mix them together and layer them without any, negative residue. So that in that way, we thought, you don't need as many SKUs. You just need, the right basic SKUs to be able to mix together. You can create anything, you can customize, which is really a big part of our ethos is really really celebrating the uniqueness that lives in each one of us. It's a very diverse and inclusive ethos that we practice. And I mean, growing up in Toronto, Cheryl, it's the most diverse, most inclusive and diverse city in the world. So this
that puts your
doesn't,
products to a test, doesn't it?
yeah, it sure does. And you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. It does. It really has to stand up to that test. But also, when we think about those things, it comes very natural for us to think in that way. We don't, we grew up that way. Look around in your classroom and you had, 20 different nationalities in your class, different languages,
yeah,
different foods.
yeah.
So for us, and whether it was, Civello or any of our programming, and you've seen any of our imagery or shows or anything like that, it's always been
It's
very
been that way.
much very inclusive and very diverse approach to beauty and celebrating the uniqueness in every one of us and making that the opportunity, not a negative. So it's been great. It's been really,
Right.
really.
And so how many products in total, how many SKUs do you have?
There are 25, and there's a candle, which we created a candle for the holiday season, and it did really, really well for us. So look for more candles and a little bit more of I think we might see, a few other things that will be more lifestyle, you might call, but still inclusive in our ethos.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you're thinking about things that are healthy for you, you also think about self-care, and self-care is kind of a bigger umbrella of products and potential.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I had my druthers and could do anything I want, I'd be making a lot of different products for different things. I really love making products and I love coming up with ideas and I love the approach that myself and our team take when we think about a product. It's a real fun process, very challenging, super fun process, but when we get it right, we're super proud. It's just like so exciting to have something that didn't exist and you've created something that other people are loving and it's the reason we do it.
Yeah. I'm interested in the scents. How do you decide on what kind of scent you would put in your products? Because scent is so personal for people, right? Like
Oh,
it's kind of a no-go if it's not a good scent, or it's like, yeah, I want to eat this. It's so good.
well, and you said it, it's so subjective. It's so
Mhm.
subjective, something that someone loves, someone else has a very negative experience because it triggers the olfactory, which triggers a memory. So
Mhm.
aroma and fragrance is attached to memory.
Mhm.
And so there are certain fragrances that we could say more universally, but not entirely, are more favorable. One would be vanilla, for example. Vanilla is a very popular fragrance amongst many people because it reminds them of baking, of whether you were coming home from school and mom was baking, and just walking into a bakery and the smell of vanilla is one of the first things you smell. And so that's a very pleasant and very popular one. But what we tried to do was we came up with 8 different fragrances. We tested probably, I would say at least we tested 5 times, and each time we're at least 100 people that were in the test pilot. So and it's blind testing so that no one knows what's going to happen. And I honestly, it was very interesting because the things I really liked were not necessarily what everybody else liked, and that was proof
Right.
that it wasn't exactly as I thought. In fact, at
Well,
one point I only wanted to have 1 fragrance for the whole line, but we landed on 8 that
yeah.
were quite popular. And the approach for fragrance for us was let's not make anything too strong.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's got to be botanical. It's got to be, it's a natural aroma. It's a botanical aroma. There are no synthetics in the aroma, but and which means that they dissipate very quickly as well. So these are not synthetic, and synthetics will last all day. These are not intended to do that. These are intended to dissipate, be very soft. We chose very gender neutral fragrances, which was very important. We didn't want to have anything that was too spicy, too woodsy. We didn't want to have anything too floral, which might lend itself, so we really straddled in the middle and created these really beautiful blends. None of them are the same. They're all quite different, but they're quite beautiful. My favorite is, we call it English pear. That's our internal name. But it's, for example, the top notes on our pear, plum, and bergamot. In the middle, you have lemon, sage, and basil. And then it ends off with sandalwood, cedarwood, and patchouli. It's killer. It's so good.
Wow. Just like a fragrance, just like you would purchase a fragrance, it's got its top, its middle, and its base notes. And again, when you produce something for yourself, you can't always produce what you like, because you can maybe start there, but in the end, it's about selling it to your customer base, right? So I love that you did a survey for the scents. I think that was a smart idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And it still happens, and it's actually somewhat regional, which is very interesting. Sure, I didn't realize this, but there's also geographics that have associations or affiliations to certain fragrances that you wouldn't find elsewhere. Now I've come across that where people told me things smelled this, it reminded them of something, and that they'd had more than one client come in and say that that's what they thought it was. And I was really like, it's a head scratcher. You got that many people, like 3 saying the same thing would be very surprising to me. And yet on the other side of the country, they have completely a different reaction to it. And
it really is a cultural thing. For scent and fragrance, it's very cultural.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting world. I love it. I really, really love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Back Bottle Bob has been in some runway shows recently.
Badgley, Michigan, just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, we were. That's the second time with Peter Gray, of course, as the lead stylist on the show, and that's been terrific. Obviously, on so many levels, to see our team be backstage at New York Fashion Week, I think is just a wonderful opportunity, for hairdressers, and a lot of hairdressers don't get the opportunity to do something like that. So we encourage our team, and we ask people if they'd like to go, and Peter's been terrific. So he creates a team with his people and our people together, and creates this amazing team. But the one part of that experience, people think it's about the fashion and the beauty, but actually the best part about being backstage working on a show is the teamwork, the absolute teamwork that has to happen. The conditions are so intense. You're time sensitive. You've got to get the work done. The work has to be impeccable. You don't get second chances. So it has to be really good, and it has to be done as a team. When somebody says, hand me a tail comb, 5 better show up. Like,
it's almost like you're a surgeon working on your patient, you have to be there and you got to be fast. I had the opportunity to be backstage at one of the Bagley Mishka shows a few years back with Peter, and he is just an incredible stylist, and him and his team always do such a great job. His work is impeccable.
Yeah, he's been a big part of Back of Bottle as well. He's been on the product development side, and obviously on all the visual side of our image work, both for Back of Bottle and Color Space. For both, he's been a big part of the development of the aesthetic of the brand, for sure. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love your aesthetic. I love the simplicity and clean lines, the black and white. I mean, you're obviously, where it's at when it comes to branding. Really good job on that.
Thank you.
So that Back of Bottle, is there some customization or personalization involved with Back of Bottle? Or how do you just kind of mix and cocktail things yourself? Is that how that works?
I mean, there's a program, you go into styling someone's hair, cleansing, conditioning, moisturizing, all of those things, of course, are available in a variety of different ways. But the styling part of it should be the most creative part of it. There's a baseline. You want to do a prep. There's a leave-in conditioner. There's a product called Shining Armor, for example, and that's a heat protectant. But most heat protectants or anti-humectants are silicone based. And so this is a non-silicone base. It's a vegetable base, silicone-like. ingredient that actually coats the hair very lightly, but doesn't make it hydrophobic. So silicones make your hair hydrophobic, means that you can't penetrate into the hair. Once you coat the hair with silicone, you're just coating on top of silicone, on top of silicone, on top of silicone. Eventually weighs the hair down, starts to crack and break, and you have damage. First, silicone feels amazing at the beginning, but over time, over excessive use, it's not necessarily your best friend for your hair. So Shiny Armor is amazing because it does actually penetrate, as do all of these products. All the back of bottle, one of the very unique characteristics of it is these products penetrate into the hair. They don't sit and coat the hair like many styling products do, right? And then you have to really, you have to manipulate them and brush them and add heat to get them to really do what you want. This is when you want hair to feel like hair. These products are very, very much designed to have hair still feel like hair, beautiful hair, soft hair. And so when you mix them together, you can get more hold, less hold, depends on what you're trying to achieve. They're really quite unique that way. We actually worked with a skincare chemist when we started off because I didn't want hair care in the traditional way either. My own hair being, curly and it's fine hair. If I put an oil on my hair, any oil, it would just weigh and separate. So we have this beautiful, I have to show you. This is the packaging. Hopefully you can see it here. And you see the bob on that
nice.
embossed on the side. And it's a beautiful, this is such an elegant bottle that comes out of this box here. I'll show you.
This is the oil. Oh,
This
yeah.
is this is the high hydrating oil. And this is oil, a lot of people with fine hair, medium fine hair, who've never been able to use an oil. This is a very beautiful oil. You can use it on your hair before, wet and dry. It really works over time, softens your hair, adds a little bit of shine. It's really amazingly versatile. It's also a beard oil. You can use it in a number of different ways. I use it just as a moisturizer, a skin moisturizer, because they really are, they have the skincare
multi-use. Yeah, multi-use.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it is it's like shared unisex in terms of the packaging, the style of it, and the scents, and the usage.
Yeah, we very much, we certainly appeal to a broader scope of very aware people, and I would say that younger people in particular, because they are aware of the damages that can be done to the human being through absorption through the scalp. Scalp absorbs 5 times more than any other part of the body. It's got more follicles per square inch than any other part of your body, hopefully any other part of your body. And therefore it absorbs at an enormous rate. So anything that sits on your hair, shampoos, conditioners may not sit on your hair very long, but you're putting styling products that end up staying and spraying on your hair for the entirety of the day. You're going to get penetration into the papilla. You're going to get into the bloodstream. There's no question about it. So you have to think about this. As a hairdresser, you have to think about what you're putting on your clients' heads. As you're spraying products into their hair, as you're putting products in your hair, you have to think about what what benefit or what might not be a benefit for them. So this is where this journey started. We wanted to make sure that as the clients came in and we were the ones, hopefully, that will help educate. And I'll tell you that there are a lot of consumers that are super, super knowledgeable about, damages to the endocrine system, skin irritations. There's all kinds of things that can happen, and some really serious things, leading to cancer as well. And of course, that's all a bit of a, it's a lottery, if you will, in life to get that sick. But why contribute? Why add anything that might contribute to it? That's just, if you know better, don't do it.
100%. Yeah, that's the way I live, and I've lived for a long time too, is just about taking care of your body from the inside out as well. You talked about scalp health. That's a big subject these days, and there's a lot more information about it. Like you said, the consumer is a lot more aware of scalp health, and this is why using products that are free from toxic ingredients is so important.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple I'll tell you that are really nasty. The phthalates, parabens, and
Yes.
SLS sulfates. Those 3 are the big nasties that you want to stay away from. They're just bad. They're bad for everything. They're bad for people. They're bad for the environment. They go into the food system. I mean, plastic microfibers. I mean, these are now in the food system. They're in every one of us. We don't know what they're doing to us yet. There's not enough science to really tell us, but they shouldn't be there. And they certainly shouldn't be in the water, shouldn't be in fish. They shouldn't be anywhere, but they're everywhere, right? And so they're the nasty ones. But, we use plants a lot. We use plants because plants are incredibly powerful. They're so potent, and they can do a lot of good, especially on the skin and on the scalp. So a lot of what we work with are ingredients that we know even as a secondary function, sometimes as a primary function, but even as a secondary function, even as styling lift, volumizing spray might have, it might have something in there like bayberry fruit, it might have something in there that really we know that if it's sitting on the scalp, it's going to help promote better scalp health, just better scalp health. Right, you need to keep your scalp clean. A lot of people don't shampoo their hair anymore. They like to shampoo their hair once a week because they don't want to blow dry it. Mostly, that's the main reason for it.
Me.
Right. And I get that. I get it. It's a pain. It takes time.
I just did it for you today, though. I know.
Well, you look great.
Did a good job.
Yeah, you look great. The color's beautiful. Yeah, you look great.
But yeah, you're right. Especially dry shampoo, it builds up. People just use it like crazy during the week, and you're building up on top of it, and then that's actually just covering your scalp. It's not allowing it to breathe. And what kind of ingredients are in your dry shampoo that's actually not good for your scalp, like you said, which is just absorbing into your bloodstream.
That's it, 100%. You got it. And so I'm just promoting, helping. I was that hairdresser who never used to shampoo his own because I didn't like my hair frizzy. I didn't want it to get frizzy. I used conditioner every day though. I would rub conditioner into my scalp and into my hair just to hydrate it, but I didn't shampoo my hair as often. But I think, I think people should really be aware of their scalp. They should look at it and make sure that, changing seasons, drier climate right now in the wintertime. You want to hydrate, and that oil, for example, that oil, you can sleep in it. It's beautiful oil to put all on your scalp overnight. You won't have any excess oil whatsoever in the morning. It'll give a nice balance to your scalp. There's a lot to be said. Obviously, there's a lot of beautiful, I think a lot of beautiful plants that there are those that are really focused on hydration, but there's anti-inflammatories. There are deep cleansers like esters, like jojoba esters are really great at cleansing at the same time. But we're borrowing now from the skincare world that has been exfoliating beautifully and hydrating very beautifully and layering these products. And that is what you're going to find in back of bottles. A lot of that same thinking went into all the products, even though they weren't there to just sit on the head. But while they were doing what they were doing, they should also note they're on the scalp. They're going to penetrate. But they're going to go into.
Well, I call that the skinification of hair products, because we're thinking, outside of the box in that way. So let's talk about color space. So you created a color brand, and why did you create a color brand, and what's it about?
Well, Lupe Voss is one of the reasons that color space exists. Lupe Voss and I have been, longtime allies, worked together for many, many years in our previous life. And I consider her to be one of the top, one of the top educators in North America for sure. I mean, top 5, she lights up a room like no one does. I mean, she's just this genuine, kind, wants everyone to be better. And not everyone has that disposition, they really, really genuinely care. And her knowledge on hair color and technique, all of that were all inspirations for color space. And my relationship with her, we started talking very very sort of matter of fact, kind of casual. And then we started doing research. And it wasn't, for certain that we were going to do it. But we both agreed that unless we were going to bring true innovation to hair color with the Goldwells, with the L'Oreals, with the Schwarzkopfs, and there's just, we don't need more hair color. There's lots of great hair color companies. So what we needed though was innovation. We needed some different thinking, and because we felt that we were coming almost from the outside, even though we've been on the inside, but we really are on the outside of hair color manufacturing, that our brains could come up with things that we thought, hey, what about, and what if? And so we found a great partner in Brescia, Italy, that been making hair color. Family's been making hair color for 60 years, who was also very interested in innovation and cared deeply about the industry as much as we did. And so, if you start by caring about an industry, if you really genuinely care, you can see the opportunities. If you have that intent to help, opportunities will show up immediately. So when you then take the opportunity and say, this is a creative opportunity, let's find a way to make this better. So we started to focus on We knew that science would be important. We knew botanicals because that was, again, back a bottle. It's part of our DNA. We knew we had to bring botanicals into what we were doing. And we also wanted to challenge ourselves to look at the experience of having hair color, both from the client's perspective, but also how the stylist who's been mixing hair color, in a bowl with a whisk and a brush, not really much has happened very differently in a plastic bowl for the most part. So we started to look at all of those things about how the hairdresser really did what they did and how the client actually experienced it. And that was our starting point, our jumping off point. And so we ended up with all these innovations that surprising to us that no one else had thought of, frankly. We were like, no one's ever thought of this? Okay, this is great. I'll give you a couple of examples. The micro dye, or sorry, the dye molecule, which is essential. Everybody has a dye molecule. Everybody has to use dye molecules. And that's one of the 4 basic ingredients of hair color. And so that dye molecule can vary in size. So, we've all experienced red, and red tends to fade the most because that dye molecule tends to be a little larger than a brown molecule or a blonde molecule, right? So the golds and the browns are smaller in size.
So it wouldn't penetrate the hair as well, then, is what
It
you're saying.
wouldn't, because the cuticle, once the cuticle opens up, right, there's an aperture and an opportunity now for that deposit of that dye molecule to get in there. And if it's larger, then, especially if the hair is compromised, if you're, color on top of color and it's compromised, it can't close. That cuticle, it's going to be compromised. The hinge at the bottom of that cuticle is going to be compromised and it can't shut down. So then because it can't shut down, as soon as you start shampooing your hair, it comes out. And that's called fading. That's what we get when we see fading quickly on red. So we looked at that dye molecule and we worked with a chemist who was a pharmaceutical chemist. His brain was thinking in very small sizes. And he said, why can't we make this dye molecule? Why can't we take it and make it much smaller? And we looked at him and he said, why can't we? He said,
why haven't they?
and so we did, and we made it, the 30th of the size of what it was, and we allowed it to dispense in the cream carrier in the tube. So it's dispensed much more evenly, means that its ability to dispense on the hair is going to be much more even. But most importantly, because it's so small, when that cuticle opens up, it slides in very easily, allowing the cuticle to shut down. So the condition of that hair is intact. And when the light hits the surface of that cuticle, because it's completely shut down, of course, you're getting much more reflection. You're getting shinier looking hair, and it's not fading. So we have that one innovation creates this healthier, long-lasting effect of hair color. Right. So that was just one. Another one that was really cool was this machine that mixes hair color that we use called the Unimix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of these. I've heard of some, there's been a few variations of these mixers, but I think they're brilliant because they save you a lot of money as well. And the precision is great, right?
Yeah, the precision is great. I think for us, we were in the lab and we were watching the technicians all mixing stuff on these machines, and we were like, okay, but this machine could mix hair color. So it was a question of evolving it to this, but ours mixes it using a magnet and a motor, which gives you in an aluminum, in a stainless steel bowl, which it's acid washed food grade stainless steel. So, it's absolutely
wash it and reuse it, and yeah.
And it's great because there's no plastic microfibers coming off into the hair colors, no dispensing of any plastic at all. And the other part of it is we're able to get a texture because of the way the magnet works in there. It just, evolves and creates this beautiful, incredible texture. You could stand there for an hour with a whisk. You're never going to get the texture.
You're like whipping it.
Yeah.
It's like making whipped cream.
It's beautiful. And also we warm up. We have a heat plate on the bottom of it. So it warms it up to body temperature. Why body temperature? Because many of us didn't know this, but hair color doesn't begin to process until it reaches body temperature. So it has to wait from the heat for the scalp to heat up that hair color before it actually begins to process. That's why when people get hair color put on, and oftentimes if that hair color was stored somewhere cooler, they'll ask for a tail comb, they'll ask for something, they'll want to scratch their scalp with it. It's because it's causing irritation. It might be mild, but it's causing irritation because it's adjusting to the scalp temperature. It's beginning to process. Mm-hmm. So our beautiful Unimix heats it up so that immediately when you put it on, it begins to process right away, eliminating that opportunity for irritation. right? So
And which is probably why you have the heating process happening as you're processing your hair.
yeah, well, you mean when somebody uses like a heat lamp or something to
Yeah.
heat it up? Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't recommend that because we don't think you need to do that. That's only really done for people who are really trying to speed up the process to get, people who don't want to sit processing for 40 minutes. You can cut it down to 30 or 25 minutes, and that's what that will do. But like with anything, you have essential oils built into your product for a reason. So if you heat it up faster than it was intended to be, you could be, pretty much taking those oils and making them, making them absorb faster than they were designed to. So it might not compromise anything. I don't think it compromises anything, but it's not necessary. All it's doing is speeding it up.
Right. And what, there's botanicals in this color too? Like, is it more of a natural based, or what type of ingredients would be in color space?
Well, color is color. So the additives and the way, so if you can break it down and say, well, we've got one of the elements and we've taken that and made it much smaller, right? So one of the other things we did is now the stylist is experiencing something different with the Unimix, but the client is also receiving something quite nice. It's a nicer experience to have product that's been warmed up to body temperature and put on their head. There's less sensitivity issues. And then when we use botanicals, for example, our newest addition to the family is called 3D EMI. So that's our demi line. We have a permanent hair color line using ammonia. We have a permanent hair color line without ammonia with MEA as the alkalizer, right? And this is our demi line with AMP as the alkalizer. And so these are quite different in terms of alkalizers. They each do something quite different. And so that's our third line. And we've been using botanicals like shea butter, for example. We've been using and in the 3D EMI, we're using adaptogenics, which are desert plants. Basically, there are 6 of them that we used that are quite interesting, because in the desert, of course, there's the harshest of climates, and these plants learn to retain as much moisture and live off very little moisture, right? So they have very interesting properties. Again, anti-inflammatories, nourishing properties, and we understood that by using this many of them, that we were actually creating a scalp treatment. So when you put 3D EMI on, which is a glossing, for the most part, you're glossing, you're toning, you actually can cover gray too and blend gray. So when you're putting it on, it actually feels cool on your scalp. You're getting a scalp treatment at the same time as you're getting this hair color service. So it's really unique. And everybody comments on it immediately. They go, oh, that feels very cool. It's very nice. And it is basically, and this is actually has the ability to go down into the papilla and actually create healthier hair growth. It has the ability. These plants were thought of as nourishing, as hydrating, as anti-inflammatories, and designed to give you healthier hair from the inside out, not just on the outside.
Well, color technology has changed a lot over the years. I mean, I remember back in the day in high school when I used the Frost and Glow in that cap, and it was just straight bleach all over my head. I can't even believe it took me an hour just to get the cap off of my waist length hair. I mean, what was I thinking?
Oh my God, yeah. And painful, right?
Yeah, I still had all my hair after that, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, it's just great to know that there's products out there that are actually good for your hair, that work with sensitivities, that are good for your body, good for the planet, and that are something that you can use often and daily. I mean, I feel like you've really thought about all of that very carefully.
Yeah, we have, I think, and the other thing we've tried to do is also make it beneficial for the salons. So hairdressers, if you're listening, what we've done with our larger tubes, these are tubes are larger, they're 120 mil, so that you have less plastic caps, less cartons, less time, less transportation emissions, all of that, and at a lesser price point. Like we're per application at least 30 to 50% less than anyone else on a price per application. So we thought about the salons, economics of the salon, the business itself too, because we're salon owners. I mean, there's a large portion of our team are hairdressers and salon owners. All of us have been salon owners. So we understand how thin that profit line can be sometimes. And so we tried to make best effort to, to provide the best opportunities at the best price point and the best quality that we could make as well.
Right. And plus with the process of creating the mixing part of the process, that you're helping also save money in terms of wastage.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, Cheryl, because if you start using the Unimix, you will start to notice that you'll need less product. You'll notice it immediately because the consistency is just, it spreads much easier and it spreads broader and broad. You can cover more space with less product for sure. So yeah,
Right.
you'll save there as well.
Right. And so how many what's your color range? How many colors do you have in your color space brand?
A lot. There are a lot. I mean, the zero line, which is our ammonia-free line, is our broadest line. It's our most well-used line. It has quite a few SKUs. I'm not sure the exact number, but it's definitely over 60 for sure. But again, not crazy, like not 1,000. We don't need that. We really try to focus on we don't want people to waste money and having product that they'll never use. So we try to really narrow down what people need and work in that category. Also, the calibration of our primary line. This is our ammonia line, for example. The calibration, this is the most precise hair color in the world because this is the only line where you can take a 3, mix it with a 5 in equal parts and get exactly 4, not a variation of 4, but exactly 4. So if you run out of product or if you don't want to carry as much product and you know what your formulas look like, you can really pick and choose to make sure that you can make what you don't need to order more tubes of if you want to, right? So that's
Sure.
how
You know,
precise
it,
that one is.
it reminds me of me because I'm a makeup artist and in my kit I have foundations, but I don't need to have 50 foundations.
No,
If
you
you're
don't.
a mixologist of whatever your craft is, then you should be able to know how to mix things to get a color that you need. I mean, technically, if you have your primary colors in white and black, then you've got everything in the rainbow, right?
Yeah, yeah, and really what it comes down to is knowing your salon, knowing the salon, what they do. They do more gray coverage, for example, and what's the average age of your clients? And, are you dealing with 80% gray or 50% gray? What is your client? What kind of coverage do they like? And this is also regional, where someone might say that's covered. Somebody else might say, oh, no, that's blended. Right. And this has become very interesting for us. So we've really crafted out lots of formulas. One of the unique things about this line is you can take the ammonia-free line and the ammonia line and you can mix them together. And there's not a lot of brands that you can do that with. You can mix them together and get a whole other line, basically with different finishes, because they do have very different bases, both of these. One is warmer, one is cooler, and the reflection is a little bit less and more. So you can create more colors, again, by mixing the two together. As we call those our hybrid formulas, and they are, for great coverage, become the favorite. And because there's so many definitions of what great coverage is.
Sure.
People on the eastern part of the country versus on the western part of the country have a very different definition of what that is. So we've really worked on really understanding, what does your salon do? And then we focus on that training and education, especially when we bring the hair color in. We focus on what they do. Not here's all of us here. Have all of us. No,
Yeah. No,
we
it's
really
very
try to
customized.
we
Yeah.
customize that approach to help, and really work. I mean, it works much better. Obviously, they get more confidence very quickly with the brand and
For sure. That's very important questions to ask somebody before they take the brand. So in terms of taking the brand as a salon owner, is it like, here's the whole thing, you take the whole thing, or do you get to pick and choose like you're talking about because they might have different needs in different salons?
No, they're always customized. We look at everything as customized approach to it. We look at the size of the salon. We know what they're going to need in terms of quantities. But we do like to we don't like to bring all 3 of our categories in at once. We don't think that works very well for us. Or do we bring color space and bob in at the same time? That's not always our best approach. I mean, it works for some who are really ready for that. But for someone who's already using maybe 2 other color lines already, and they're busy. We'll go in and we might start with, or we might start actually the easiest entry now would be our demi line. This is the 3D line. This is the easiest with, say, with our bleach, with our silver lift bleach, along with our system, which is called the Color Space Way. One of the other innovations I didn't talk about is a product called Stop. This is unbelievably cool product. It is a cuticle sealant. So after you finish doing the color, it closes down the cuticle, seals it, and stops oxidation from occurring. It can't continue to oxidate. With
So
other hair
your color is
colors,
done, you put
it's
this on
done.
and then you're finished.
It's
Right.
done. You can't, and it won't fade. So it's basically a treatment conditioner cuticle sealant, pH normalizer. It does all of these things. It's quite a unique product in the way that it works. And so it adds a lot of shine as well, because it is a treatment basically. So we use that with our bond, which is obviously our bond building, hydrating and bond building treatment. That's our system. If you use that with our hair color, and bond is very unique too, because you can mix it in the bleaches. You can put it as a barrier cream. It's like one of those products you can use in many, many different ways. Anybody that has sensitivity, even for basic color, if you have sensitivity, we recommend putting a little bit of bond in the product as well to cut down on that sensitivity. But this is the easiest entry, because glossing, toning, everyone does. It's about 40–50% of what most people's work looks like these days. And this is a very simple program, and beautiful, really, really beautiful product. This is the one with the adaptogenic. This is the one where you get the scalp treatment. At the same time that you're applying it, you'll feel this cooling effect on your scalp. It's very, very unique.
Yeah, it sounds like a great product. In terms of education, do you offer that, and how do you offer that? Where do you offer that?
Cheryl, that's my background, and that's Lupe's background. We're both, we have a lot of strength in developing curriculum and support. We know that hair color doesn't happen without education, and Bob is the same. You have to have education. You have to, it might seem like everybody knows how to use products, but this is a pretty interesting time right now in the industry. I think it's really, it's been fun. Training and doing these workshops on the Bob, people have to use them. That's as simple as that. You've got to get people to use them. With hair color, we obviously we're there. We don't leave until there's comfort. But we're in person. Again, if we do 3D EMI, that's a quicker, easier in. Make sure they've got it. Come back a week later. Make sure they're fine. If they're going through a full transition with ammonia, with our primary ammonia line, or with our zero ammonia free line, that's going to be, we're going to be there a little bit longer for sure. We're known for our support. We're known for really being there and caring. That's what we hear from everyone. They say, it's been a long time since a company cared as deeply as you do. And, you can pick up the phone and talk to Lupe. You can pick up the phone and talk to me. We're not huge. We're very personable, and we care deeply. And we know that, look, I mean, if you're not comfortable with using this product, you're not going to use it. So it's not in our best interest to drop and run like so many people do. It's in our best interest to make sure that you become comfortable and gain the confidence that you need to really explore the possibilities, because it's only at that point when you get a comfort level that you're willing to take some chances, and you'll start to explore what could potentially get you re-engaged. And that's what I love about new product, is it does get you re-engaged in your craft. Because a lot of people get very comfortable. I don't want to change. I got my formulas. I don't want to change anything.
Right.
There might be better. There might be better for your clients. There might be cleaner for your products, better in many ways for your clients. There might be better results, long lasting, shine, no fading, less sensitivity. There might be all of these things available. So as hairdressers, we really have an obligation to keep exploring. And that I find, and we've heard this a lot from, a lot of our salons that have gone through very successfully transition, have said, I can't believe the level of re-engagement for the team, because they do have to learn something new. So they have to talk to each other again about hair, instead of talking about a lot of other things unrelated. Now they're talking about their clients and what would you do, and can you help me with this? And it builds some nice teamwork again. Team.
You're getting feedback from each other. You're getting feedback from your clients. You're getting conversation with you and education. I think we're, as stylists in our industry, we should be ever evolving, and we should be growing, and we should be looking for what's new and innovative and good for you and good for your clients.
100%. Let's not get too comfortable. Get uncomfortable. Stay uncomfortable. Don't get too comfortable. Right.
That's how you grow.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where can we find Color Space and Bob?
Well, the usual suspects have been, backofbottle, .ca or .com. We have ca.colorspace hair.com. That's the Canadian website. The US website is colorspacehair.com, and at Back of Bottle and at Colorspace Hair, our handles on social.
Great. And you're in North America?
We are in North America. We're in Europe. We're in Italy. We've opened Italy up. We're in talks with more European countries, 4 more European countries right now. It's a very exciting time, and yeah, it's transitioning very nicely. We're actually having to push back a little bit because we're the little engine that's pushing hard here, and so we have to manage. We have a great resource team. Our team is amazing, but we also recognize that we want to grow a certain way and we want to do it right. And so we don't want to tackle on too much. Actually, Europe was just a fluke. I just happened to be at Cosmoprof and met some people in Italy who are amazing, amazing people. So we're really excited about our partnership with the Italians. They're fantastic.
That's great. Well, if you need an Italian team, I'll go.
No, everybody. Well, and that's one of the things that we hope to be able to do in the coming year or two is really start to bring our people to Italy. We have an academy, and we'll have access to more academies there through our Italian partners. So that'll be fun to start to do some back and forth. Maybe bring some of the Italians to North America as well. Yeah. Great.
Well, it sounds like a lot of exciting things happening for you, and it sounds like you've created a couple of amazing brands, and with all your knowledge and background, of course you have. It's, you are Ray, you have created some beautiful things here, and I really appreciate your time and our conversation, and I love always learning what's new and innovative with you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And you are doing an amazing job. I think what you're doing is really different than anyone else. You're really distinctive, and it's your talent, your eye, your vision, your curating, which is really nice to be a part of. So thank you for inviting us to your party. It's great.
Yeah, and thank you for your support in the Beauty and Motion Awards, and we'll look for your products for the diverse texture category. And it sounds like you've got that one covered so well with Bob and the products that you've created.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Cheryl. See you
Okay.
then. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.